Hello. Let's begin with our next session. I am Lāce from National Archives, and I'm really happy to be the chair of the next session, Advanced Technologies and Public Outreach. And the first speaker will be my dearest colleague, Sven, who will speak about project that is pronounced ArchXAI.
Yes, thank you. I am proudly presenting a project where the hardest part here seems to be pronouncing its name. As you see, the kind of it written out there. I know that, kind of the official, I think we decided early on would be ArchXAI, but I think every partner has still their own pronunciation. For us in the Estonian archives, we lovingly call it that AI project. So the project is led by the Southeastern Finland University of Applied Sciences, short XAMK. I think that's also part of the reason why the X is in the name of the project. We have 3 archives in the project, the National Archives of Finland, Estonia, and Latvia. So we have 2 ICARUS members and 1 former member in the project, so it's basically almost an ICARUS project. We are 1 year into a 3-year project, and what we are aiming to do is some good old-fashioned digitizing, followed by text recognition, indexing. Both we have already also heard in several talks on this conference, and in the end we'll finish with some with a AI-assisted inquiry assistance tool. And as we are only 1 year into the project, and as every step kind of leans on the previous ones with kind of also always additional data coming in, we are furthest along with the first steps, and still have a lot to do with the later ones, but we'll still give an overview of where we're standing. So on the kind of analog to digital side, we're nothing much to talk about there. We're digitizing, looked for documents that also kind of show our shared history, but also have a kind of user interest. And most work here goes into the text recognition creation. So basically we're creating the training data and also training the models. We are here in a very lucky position that the Finnish National Archives actually already have quite a lot of experience with handwritten text recognition and training in-house. And you can see like the situation we are in now. I think from the big screen the colors are a bit muddled. But the Finns already have a large text recognition model that works equally well on Finnish and Swedish, which makes a lot of sense looking at their history. And we have been now training models for Estonian, Latvian, and Russian as kind of the shared history part of the three archives that we all have documents in Russian. That kind of looking at that how much training data we have, like for Russian, for example, in the first iteration, we used a lot of synthetic data, but we've been creating the archives more and more. For example, you can see that the Estonian example, we were just 2 weeks ago, we had the second iteration of our model created, and we managed with some outside funding to get quite a bit additional training data. And looking at kind of the quality of the models, they're still kind of, the character error rate is around 3%, a bit lower. You can even see in kind of the Estonian example, that character error rate didn't go down much, just 0.1%, but here in these slides, you can't see the the out-of-domain character error rate for the second iteration of the model yet, as we just got that yesterday. So basically, the in-domain looks at documents that kind of were in the training data, were left out of the training, but kind of are still very close to the training data. And out-of-domain should look at the kind of a wider variety of documents, so how the model would work in the wild, hopefully. And here with the second Estonian model, for example, we came down from 10.6% to 7.8, so 3% better, which mostly shows that our new model is a lot more versatile. Basically, the out-of-domain collection, the same collection we used for both, I would say has become less out-of-domain and more kind of recognizable for the model because of that. But that was also our aim to kind of have it kind of work on a wider variety of documents. And the models are all on the Hugging Face page of the Finnish National Archives. If you're interested, you can use them, but we're still working on them. Yeah, here an example with the first model, Estonian model. You can see in red the mistakes it made, and the second model is already on the same example, like quite a bit better. Interestingly, neither the model recognized the word of Tallinn, which seems quite important but yeah, I guess it was written in not the best way. As everybody working with text recognition probably knows, it's always quite a bit harder with structured documents. So here, our Finnish colleagues have also been working on a new method for forms, structure from repeating documents, that is then also kind of able to, with only one annotated example per form, rather nicely recognizes kind of the stable form features and the variable content written into the form. And you kind of to get it also kind of out in a structured way. So this is also quite freshly in the works, or kind of makes us also kind of hopeful to work with more structured data in a more easy fashion. Now to the cataloging and indexing side, there's the hope to kind of use AI algorithms and natural language processing to kind of extract structured data outside of the recognized texts and enhance accessibility to our archives through that. You can read more about what we've done, what we've tried out on the GitHub page of the archive project. The link is down below. So we have experimented with named entity recognition, used tried out public models, how well they work to find persons, organizations, locations. Here's kind of an example of our demo in that everybody can also try out to see how well it works. Yeah, and generally kind of looking at the different languages, text recognition works best with Russian, as it is the kind of largest language also, but for the other languages also kind of the results are not perfect, but still quite good. And we also have tried dedicated named entity recognition models as well as large language models, and there the dedicated models seem to generally make more sense to use, and as they are also kind of a lot less time intensive and resource intensive than the large language models. And we have also looked at PII, personally identifiable information, as it's kind of quite common that with the newer materials, if the archives are queried, we kind of need to work with the personal data in them that still are under restrictions, which can, of course, then also even in Europe can be quite different between different countries, the legislation in the countries. But yeah, there we have also we're still in the early stages, I guess. We have tried out some publicly available models like Presidio and Mappa, which also mostly depend on named entities, but can also be quite helpful in this with this question. And then for the AI-assisted information request toolset, where we hope to end up to create tools that would help our users as well as the archivists working with the requests of our users to more easily navigate kind of our holdings and then more quickly find the answers to the questions our users have. Here we have been analyzing the kind of information request workflows that exist right now in the 3 archives. From the client submitting the request to a response being sent out by the archives, and which are, even if the kind of systems and so on are quite different in the 3 archives, the kind of general workflow still is the same. And we've also been like finding then the kind of the bottlenecks you can see here in the image, where there seem to be more problems in the process. I guess the bottlenecks themselves also don't seem that surprising to someone working in the archives, or unexpected at least. There's always the question of how well the customers, the users themselves know how to ask what they're looking forwards in the archive. Kind of the more extreme examples where that also kind of exist, where they just write, I want information about my grandfather with no additional information at all. How would we know where to start working? But even like smaller details that they might not realize that it's really helpful for us, that if they add the place of birth to the date of birth, that this makes our work much easier. So there is quite a bit of kind of forth and back with people right now from the archive side that we need to ask for more clarity. There's also the problem, of course, that not everything that the archivists know is written down. There's a lot of tacit knowledge that's been kind of collected over the years working in the archives that basically, is just the archivist's experience and isn't really documented properly anywhere, which makes any kind of tool only working with like data we have online quite difficult to kind of help the archivist when the archivist in the end still is the one that kind of has all the knowledge or more knowledge in their head than the tool helping them. And we also already heard about that several times yesterday, of course, databases not kind of communicating with each other, being like separate things. And like, they're even like, I even feel myself that sometimes I forget myself what databases the National Archives of Estonia has, like where should I look more to get an answer to a specific question. So kind of everything is can be quite distributed. And the last part, interpretation of historical texts, that's kind of also, I guess, the archivist's knowledge part, how to work with, like especially in here with Estonia and Latvia with Russian and German texts and so on, which again, needs knowledge. Based on that, we have come to kind of the conclusion on what features the AI tool should have to help the archivist as well as the users, customers. So the first 2 points rather well work in the context of our project. So text recognition to get more information machine readable, indexing it so it's more easily usable also for the machine, both things that we are doing. There's the question of how we get the kind of the databases to work together or the information to be kind of usable over databases, tacit knowledge, how the system will capture archivists' expertise that's only in their head. Will be interesting to see if and how we manage that. And yeah, on the customer side, that some sort of chatbot will probably be the most likely outcome. We are not clear yet where we will end up, because we still have 2 years. But something that kind of is easily usable without having to kind of know all the different ecosystems of the different archives that are participating in the project. So yeah, we still have quite a bit to go, but the goal gets clearer and clearer. And I hope we end up there, and in a few years' time we can talk again and we can show you what we have managed to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Does anyone have questions?
Could you pronounce the name?
ArchXAI. I mean, the problem is also that we have no English speakers, so everybody is pronouncing it, I guess, wrong anyway in the English sense, so yeah.
Okay. Anyone more? I have one question. What has surprised you the most during the first project year? Positively or maybe negatively?
Good question. I don't even really have a good answer for that. It's I'm not sure there have been great surprises, but it has been kind of a wonderful, wonderful to see these, for example, what basically almost everybody has been talking about here also is text recognition. It's nice to see it become more and more of a reality for our archives also, that it kind of actually, that we get the tools that we can actually use in our natural workflows, that we're getting kind of closer and closer to that aim.
Yeah, actually the same emotion when I saw some days ago the demo, and we showed to our users in the Facebook that yeah, it's the new reality. It really recognizes that text.
Yeah, that's the thing. The users also, because of all of the kind of generative AI models, they do expect, and they are trying it out themselves, kind of to recognize the documents. So yeah, it has to happen on the archive side also.
But yeah, thank you very much. And let's go a little bit more to the south, to Latvia. And we will see what the Latvian National Archives has been doing during the latest years.
So hello everyone, I'm Natālija Lāce from Latvian State Archive of Audiovisual Documents. And today I will present a recently developed program by our archive. It's called Multimodal Similarity Search Tool Lepa, and explain in detail how by creating and using this tool we can enhance access to our audiovisual records. So I have to say the process of creating this tool wasn't easy and it wasn't fast. It was quite complex, full of challenges, disappointments, achievements, and very valuable lessons learned. All that based in today's reality of archive in terms of financial restrictions, human resources, a growing amount of audiovisual documents that come into archive. And the creation of this tool was a solution for all our existing problems. Initially, at least we thought so. And Lepa has been launched at the end of February this year, so quite recently. And I would like to, having this chance, give a big thanks to my colleague, Jānis Pipars, who was the main person who developed this tool. And I have to say that it was developed without any additional funding, using only existing resources. And my colleague is a professional photographer, so without any IT background. So I think it's a quite achievement for us. And later I will I will show you a short video demonstration and explain all the possibilities that we can see by using this tool. So the first problem that Archive faces today is the growing amount of archival documents, especially photographs. As you can see, in the year of 2024, it was more than 800 photographs submitted into Archive. Last year, it was more than 1 million. And it seems that in this year, the situation will be quite similar than the last year, and it's because of the born digital photographs that are coming more and more into Archive. As we all know, the amount of photographs that's been created during the past years is enormous, and it's a new reality that we need to face today. But still, we have only 9 staff members who are processing these documents, describing and providing metadata, and only 6 members who performs digitalization. So as you can understand, it's quite small, and for describing existing collections, it will take us more than 100 years. But taking into account all the documents that will come to an Archive in the next years, it's simply not possible. And a solution Archive has seen integrating various AI systems into Archive's database. And our first experiment was in 2020 when the Latvian company Noskos contacted our Archive. At first, we were very happy because, you know, local companies who are interested into Archives is something very rare, and we need to collaborate closely because they can create programs that's specifically designed for our archival needs. But this initial data set for this program was trained on global facial data sets, and as you can imagine, Latvian photographic heritage is not the best represented in this global data set. So the results at first was quite disappointing. And then we decided that we can participate into training this model, but this training data demands was quite difficult to achieve because it was requested to have at least 5 high-quality pictures of each individual from different time periods, from different angles. And sometimes in Archive, we have maybe just 1 photograph of an individual. So it's not really possible to do so. And after integrating this system into Archive's database, it returned different results, like 2 persons that could be possibly recognized in this photo with similarity score, and the Archive still had to manually verify which person is the one that is in this photograph. And after this, the API triggered this train function to send information back to this Noskos face recognition system to train this model. So Archive needed to invest a lot of time into training commercial model while still paying for it, which doesn't seem quite fair, right? But what's fair in the nowadays? But at the end, we didn't proceed with this project for different reasons, and in 2021, it was integrated into ArchXAI. If you are interested, you can search it Google and have a look. I have to say that it has quite good results, but it's not something that's feasible for Archive in the scale as the National Archives of Latvia. Our second attempt was using Archipanian. Yesterday you saw a presentation from the Archipanian. I have to say, I'm not advertising or anti-advertising. I'm just sharing our experience because it was a very valuable one. And by testing Archipanian, we came to the conclusion that it's actually quite precise and very good tool for audiovisual documents. As you can see in this picture, it also supported keyword search in Latvian, which is very rare. Zirgi in English means horses. And as you can see, all the results are, you can see the pictures of the horses. But the problem was that this process all was occurred remotely on the servers of Switzerland. It's also a commercial model, so it was quite expensive for the National Archives of Latvia. And by testing this solution, we came to realization that we can't rely on commercial models. We need to develop something on our own that we are control of, that we can develop how we want, how we need, specifically designed for our needs, how we want to see this result. And so we came to the conclusion that we need to develop this multimodal similarity search tool. We started with initial data set of more than 6,100 photographs. And even at the first stage of creation of this program, we came to numerous problems. One was a file name, because in our archive, all systems and data sets are connected with one unique identifier, which connects all these systems. But during the many years of the archive's experiences, the principles of how we name our photographs has been changed. And of course, we didn't remain all the other existing photographs that's been created, copies of the photographs that's been created previously. So we needed to deal with that. Also with a lot of duplicates on the content, or there was many duplicates with different content, but with the same naming, which was also needed to be addressed. And also there was a very chaotic structure of the documents and how they were sorted in our servers. So we structured those through 3 separate sections. After that, we extracted existing metadata from our archival database, which consists 39,000 documents. It's not a big number, but later I'll explain why it's important. And this metadata information allowed us to incorporate in this program many fields that we can use for filtering, like title, author of the photographs, shooting place, date, years, and so on. And also it allowed us to connect these identifiers from our database to the photographs that we have in our servers, which have different naming. So it was a quite automated process, and also the normalization of the data, because in our database we have many photographs who we don't know the author, so we have author unknown, and also the dates, we don't know exact dates, so we have from to, and it's difficult to apply this filter search by the year if we have this time frame of the dates. So after that, we prepared the image files, we prepared the metadata from database, we created a vector database, which consists of more than 1 million face vector units and almost 500,000 image vector units, and also created a user-friendly web interface by using Gradio, so it's also an AI solution. And here you can see the main page of this multimodal similarity search tool. So we can search described photographs and also undescribed photographs in these collections. So we can use to search by the face or the whole image. Then we can, here we can upload or delete the photo. We can adjust this similarity threshold. 0 is closer to the original, 1 or 2 is not so similar. Then we can use this filtering for described photographs, and here we can see image gallery as a result, and also all the metadata information. In this field, for described documents, you see all information, identifier, year, author, content, persons who are seen in this photograph. If these are undescribed documents, you can see where you can find this photograph on the server. So you have this information, how you can find this photograph. And now let's see a short video. Well, it's not so short, it's 5 minutes, but if we run out of time, I can fast forward it. So we can, for uploading, we can use image from our archives database, we can use image from the internet, we can use the image that's submitted by the researcher, so any kind of image. And this is the case of famous Latvian basketball player, Jānis Krūmiņš. As you see, the image that we use for search is not in the best quality, but here in the result you can see him in a group photos in different periods. So don't look at this stunning photo, it's from the previous search, it's not the result of this search. So here I I uploaded the photo of our president Jan Šćerbe and his parade in Riga. And if we use a filter for a person search here, I don't have a pointer, no? No, sorry. So at the end, I tapped this keyword Šćerbe. So in the results, we see all the images where Šćerbe is represented, but they are all very similar. There is military formations, main person. It's visually very similar, but in all of these pictures there is seen Šćerbe. So sometimes researchers are looking for something very specific. Maybe it's a person, but in very specific circumstances. And in these cases, Lepa helps us a lot. But maybe if the researchers are looking for just for military formation, just like as a visual representation, we can not use this filtering by the keywords and look at the other similar photos where you can see parades or representatives of the government and so on. So it's quite useful for Audiovisual Archive. I don't know how many representatives from Audiovisual Archive are of the audience, but we have a lot of researchers who are also professional operators, film directors, and sometimes they have very interesting requests. They're not looking for something specific event or person, but they need just like a visual representation, like in this case with this cow. Or film director was looking for a very specific image of a cow that he had in his mind from his childhood, that he wanted to include in his documentary about Latvian farmland and farmstead. And my colleague, before we had this tool, spent half of the year by going through all the photographs, described and undescribed, for looking this specific cow that this director had in his mind, and she didn't find it. So with this tool, it's more easy for us to find all these specific images that researchers are looking for, like in this case for the sunset. And we have a lot of these kind of requests, actually, yeah. And the last one was when Eva Ozoling, director, is making a film about the 90s and the changes in the Latvia, and she called us and said that she needs something very characteristic for 90s, colorful, maybe with some masses, and it's very difficult to find these kind of documents in our archival database by using keywords. So this image search is helping us a lot in processing these kind of requests. As I said, Lepa has been launched in February. We are using it actively for maybe a month. And we have a lot of challenges still. One is the duplicates that I mentioned. So we decided that Lepa indexes only files with unique file names, and all those who have duplicates are just being ignored. I know it's not maybe the best practice, but in terms of volume, those are approximately 15,000 photographs, which is not so many comparing to all our collection. And the other problem is how to process these undescribed documents if a researcher wants to have the copies of them, because we are issuing these copies only after we are describing them. So we have created a separate workflow for processing these requests. And for future, we are planning to apply this solution also for film documents, to search similar images in the film documents, and also refine this filtering by different keywords and etc. So we have a lot to do, a lot of ideas how to improve this solution. So if anyone in the audience has similar projects or ideas, we are quite open, and we would like to collaborate on this issue. And thank you. If you have more questions, you can contact us, and we will be happy to help you and explain more in detail, because I know 15 minutes is not so much for this kind of projects. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was quite amazed because that's something as a database user I have been dreaming of many years, and yeah, it's really the new reality is here. But does anyone have questions?
Hi, thank you so much. This looks like a fascinating project. Maybe it's too early as you just launched it, but have you thought of the pipeline for continuous learning of the model? For example, some kind of simple feedback interface within the search where the users could evaluate how the search result match their request, and this could be used for the future improvement and the learning of the model.
So for now, we don't have this in our mind. And I forgot to mention that this solution is available only in the premises of Archive. It's only connected into our internal system, so it's not available for everyone to use. And when a researcher comes to Archive, he or she can use it only with assistance of the archivists, because we have very strict rules about the copyrights and GDPR in Latvia, which is another topic. But of course, there is a lot of room for improvement. And as I said, we don't have IT department, so it's done just by our own. If we want to have some improvements or changes, we need to evaluate our possibilities to do so. So if we want some major improvements, then of course we need to seek for additional funding, and we always need to evaluate the outcome, how important it is for us and archivists to support this initial mission, why this tool was created. So it's a little bit, I understand that I think it could be interesting and important for researchers, but for us, it's maybe not the most important point at this phase. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And now let's go to Hungary. And the next presentation will be about podcasts.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, the Budapest City Archives has always aimed to meet the expectations of the modern age. For many years, we have continuously developed our website and social media platforms in order to reach as many people as possible and to provide clear information about the importance of archives and the historical value of the sources preserved in them. One of our newest communication channels is our Hungarian language podcast, which is currently available on Spotify and YouTube, and will soon also be accessible on Apple Podcasts. At present, two series are running on our channel, the BFL Plus series and the mini-series focusing on the history of the Roma community in Budapest. In addition, we are planning a third series dedicated to archival education programs. In this presentation, I will introduce these two existing series. What is the BFL Plus podcast about? First of all, I would like to explain the name. The Hungarian name of Budapest City Archives is Budapest Főváros Levéltára, and the abbreviation BFL is formed from the initial letters of this name. Our institution has always placed a strong emphasis on encouraging its staff to engage in historical research. Many of our colleagues are recognized experts in the periods they study. Currently, our institution employs around 130 staff members, 30 of whom hold a PhD degree. In addition, several other colleagues are also actively engaged in research. We provide up to 45 research days per year for them, which roughly equals one research day per week, allowing them to work on their own projects, either in public collections or at home. In order to make their research topics and results known to their colleagues, as well as to a wider audience, we have been organizing the BFL Plus lecture series for 5 years. These events provide an opportunity to present the scholarly work carried out alongside regular archival duties, the plus in the name. Each occasion consists of 2 half-hour lectures, followed by an informal discussion with questions, comments, and feedback, accompanied by pastries and coffee. These events take place on the first Tuesday of every month at 3 o'clock p.m. At the end of 2023, the idea emerged that these regularly organized monthly lectures could be recorded in the form of conversations and published online in order to reach a wider audience. Launching a podcast channel seemed to be the most suitable method. Although many podcast channels operate both worldwide and in Hungary, very few are run by archives. Apart from our institution, only one other archive in Hungary, the Historical Archives of the State Security Services, has a regularly updated podcast channel focusing mainly on the secret services of the socialist era. The technical conditions were already in place in our institution. We have a well-equipped studio, which was significantly developed during the pandemic due to streamed conferences, and in the person of my colleague Ádám Holozsai, we have the necessary technical expertise. Therefore, we decided to launch our own podcast channel on January 2024. The concept was that after the BFL Plus lectures held on the first Tuesday of each month, we would record the podcast on the following days. I took on the role of host and interviewer. As the organizer, I attend every lecture so I can prepare relatively easily for the topics. At first glance, this may not seem particularly difficult, but I must admit that my own research focuses on the medieval Kingdom of Hungary and the Balkans. And when my colleagues work on subjects such as the 19th century Polish uprising, the 18th century architecture in Pest, 20th century numismatics, the history of public toilets in Budapest, or even the technical aspects of digitization such as DPI resolution, it can be quite a challenge to prepare adequately for the discussions. Another important aspect we had to consider was that while presentations are often highly visual, for example, in fields like numismatics or architectural history, our listeners can only hear us. They cannot see the coins, drawings, or plans. Our most recently published episode deals with a topic from archival history, work competitions in archives during the socialist era of the early 1950s, organized according to the Stahanovite model. In this period, Hungarian archival work was characterized by Soviet-style centralization and strong ideological control. Alongside professional tasks, so-called production-style meetings and socialist work competitions appeared, particularly in connection with document disposal. The goal was to eliminate as many documents as possible, and archives competed with each other in this respect. The image shown was taken during the recording of the episode with an authentic socialist flag in the background. My preparation usually takes about 1 hour. At the beginning of each recording, we greet the listeners and briefly introduce the guest, outlining their most important professional background. The conversation itself typically lasts between 30 and 60 minutes and is recorded and edited by a sound technician. So far, over the past 2.5 years, we have published 35 episodes with 2 additional ones already recorded. The shortest episode is 25 minutes long, and the longest is 68 minutes. It was with our director, István Kenyeres. The colleges I interview are often nervous at first, even though most of them regularly give presentations. The studio setting and the fact that everything is being recorded can be intimidating, but in the most cases, this tension disappears after the first few minutes. After the recording, the audio is edited and the usual intro and outro music is added, of course, using licensed material. The final version is then sent to the four-member editorial team and the interviewee. At this stage, further edits can still be made if necessary. There have even been cases where a missing sentence needed to be re-recorded. The approved recording is then uploaded to our official Spotify channel in WAV or MP3 format. The title includes the name of the series, the episode number and the title, as well as the guest's name. The description contains a short abstract and basic biographical information. Finally, the upload is completed. It is worth registering on multiple platforms to reach more listeners. However, it must be noted that although Spotify is the easiest platform to use for uploading and managing content, it is quite difficult to reach new audiences there. Unlike Facebook or YouTube, its algorithm rarely recommends our contents to new users. Therefore, episodes on Spotify are mostly listened to by those who actively search for them or click on shared links. For this reason, our podcasts are also available on YouTube. Unfortunately, we have not yet been able to register on Apple Podcasts due to billing issues, but we plan to do so soon. It is not necessary to upload the content separately to each platform, as we can rely on the RSS feed or RSS code. What is an RSS code? It stands for really simple syndication. In our case, Spotify generates an RSS code that contains all data of the podcast, the title, description, cover image, and the list of episodes. This code can be submitted to multiple podcast platforms. As a result, when we upload a new episode to Spotify, it automatically appears on all platforms where the RSS feed has been added. Our channel also features a four-part mini-series focusing on the history of the Roma community in Budapest. This series is connected to a research grant launched by the municipality of Budapest for young historians aimed at exploring this topic. It should be noted that the Roma population is the largest ethnic minority in Hungary, and historically they have often lived in isolation. Archival sources related to this group are relatively scarce and often one-sided, typically consisting of police or social records. In addition, only a small number of researchers focus on this topic. The municipality of Budapest and our archive aimed to address this situation. A total of 5 researchers received the grant, and 4 of them have already participated in podcast interviews about their research. The first episode focused on the special representation of the musical heritage of Roma musicians belonging to the elite of the capital. For example, which street names, memorials, and monuments preserve this tradition. This episode became the most popular on our channel with more than 10,000 listens. The second episode examines the dismantling of Roma settlements during the socialist period. The third focuses on the social history of a street inhabited mainly by Roma residents, and the fourth discusses the integration and education of Roma children during the socialist era. This research program has been very successful, It has drawn attention to an under-researched historical topic, which is why the grant has been announced again, and the evaluation of current applications is now in progress. We hope that this series will continue in the future. At present, we are working on these two series. In the BFL Plus series, we discuss the research topics of our colleagues, while in the other series, historians focusing on the history of the Roma community in Budapest present the results of their research carried out within the framework of a scholarship program. The audience of our episodes usually reaches a few hundred listeners on average. Naturally, the number of listeners depends greatly on the topic, as well as on the social media following of the guest. For example, if the interviewee shares the episode on Facebook, the number of listeners can increase significantly, sometimes by several hundred views. Looking ahead, we are planning additional podcast series on various topics. For example, it would be exciting to create a series that presents the treasures and interesting materials preserved in archives. There are numerous record groups in our storage that could illustrate everyday life in Budapest, such as the history of education or even the history of pubs in the city. At the same time, many documents capture key turning points in Hungarian history, such as the trials of war criminals after the Second World War, or events of the revolution in 1956. We have plans. We will see what we can realize in the future. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much. So, questions? I have a question. Do you know the demographics of your listeners?
Mm-hmm. They are young people between 25 and 45 years, and like our Facebook pages. I think we have the same interested people, like the Facebook, Instagram, or Spotify. But on YouTube, the old people likes to hear us too. I think 25% was 65 years old plus on YouTube.
Okay, but male, female?
Oh, I think it was the same. I think male was 45% and the female 65%, but
okay,
it was the same.
And that's the target group you are interested in?
Yes. My colleague Zoltán Mautner will speak about the archival pedagogy programs. So we want to focus on the young people, children and young people, but it seems it is not by the podcast under 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now let's go to Venice. Stefania, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stefania Saviane. I'm from the State Archives in Venice. And today I want to talk to you about a project on our conscription records. So, State Archives. I know you are all professional, but just a few words. State Archives in Italy are a network of over 100 archives, almost one in every province capital, and we preserve mainly the archives of the administration of the pre-unification states and the archives of the Italian peripheral administration, and the notarial archives older than 100 years, and so much more. Venice, in particular, is one of the largest archives in Italy, And due to the importance of the documentation we have dating back to the period of the Serenissima Republic, we had a lot of you as guests some months ago, so you know what I'm talking about. 120 linear kilometer of documents. And we preserve, among the others, the register of the Venice Conscription Office, which is Ufficio di Leva di Venezia. And those registers range from the beginning of the 19th century to the birth year of 1955, because every year we have the new, or the 17 years ago, new cohorts. They are the list of the residing boys for each different towns, drawn when they reached their 19th birthday. Conscription, as you all know, is the compulsory service that a citizen performs in the armed forces of his own state. Over time, the conscription system for us has gone through different procedural mechanisms, bodies and subjects, in which different administrations contribute to a single purpose. So at the beginning, it relied a lot on the civilian forces, and it was to grant protection to the young people going to the army. And in the later years, and for us in the fascist area, it was more on the military taking importance. The origins are to date back in the Napoleonic era, because under the French revolutionary regime, conscription became compulsory as a principle of citizens' participation in the defense of the nation. In Italy, a similar system was extended to Veneto in 1806, following its annexation to the Kingdom of Italy. Here you have one of the first register. It required 4 years of service, and it was a long service for a contingent drawn by lot from the male population aged between 20 and 25. This system continued during the Austro-Hungarian period because in the Kingdom of Lombardo-Veneto, the compulsory conscription was formally established in 1820 and reformed in 1858. It required each territory to contribute to the common defense in proportion to the number of inhabitants, and this military service lasted 8 years. The system was more or less the same. The definitive structure was brought by the Savoyan kingdom, so the Kingdom of Italy, and it was adopted when Veneto became part of Italy in 1866. The main authority was, as I was saying, the municipal conscription office. So it was based on a local level, and based its activity on civil status records, such as the birth register. The call-up was typically at age 21, and the total service was 11 years. So you had 5 years of active service and 6 years in the reserve. The conscription register were prepared annually by each municipality, listed in alphabetical order, all residing 19 years old males based on their birth register. This list was sent to the Conscription Council, which existed in every province capital, so it existed in Venice, and for the enlistment operation. Everybody drew a number based on which they were assigned, they were held in the medical operation, and they were assigned to one out of 3 categories. So you could be fit and enlisted, or you could have a high number, so you were put in the reserve because you were a surplus, or you could be part of the people with family situation that were worthy of protection. And the third categories was the exempted due to physical unfitness. It is fun to think now because the cohort of 1846 was exempted in his 11% because they were not higher than 154 centimeters, which was the minimum allowed. All those registers were under a general project of indexing since 2007. We undertook the indexing of this register, recognizing their importance as a documentary source for genealogical and civil status research. The initial project, which covered approximately 10 years of register and include the online publication in 2011, was then interrupted, and we resumed it just in time to take full advantage of the COVID pandemic, because it was resumed in 2018, and then just as we laid the base, then we had a lot of volunteers work from remote working. And this is how the conscription register are. So it was a pre-printed form on two sides with around 20 fields grouped according to the authority in charge of the relevant operation. So on the first side, you have the formation of the list, and you had the name and surname and the name of the parents and the birth date and the birth place and residence, and the occupation, and if they were to be exempted for some reason. And on the other side, you had the other authorities that were that had control on the medical examinations and so on. How we do it? The volunteers use a spreadsheet, and we have not 20 fields, but 50 fields, because of course the date is not one field. It has the year, the month, the day, and we have a lot of fields for name and surname, because we have in Venice, especially in the lagoon near Chioggia, a lot of people had the same surname, so they were allowed to have a dicto. Not only one surname, but two. So we had to put some more fields in the record. And each record is divided into 4 areas, which group homogeneous information by content. And we try to remain as close as possible to the order in which the data appears in the list to facilitate the compilation by the volunteers. So we have the archival signature, so then the identification data of the draftee, then his place of birth and residence, and all the other data relating to the person and those relating to the registration on the list. Each area is followed by a note field, which is essential because a lot of differences have arisen during the years, because changing from one type of regulation to another, because we are indexing very different registers with the same information, but not really the same. We have a handbook which is given to each volunteer with the extensive instruction on how to fill in the fields. And we have a list of standardized expression, and the fields are open text or free text. Then the worksheet is checked for obvious error, as a misspelling. For example, when a male name is listed as mother, and we know it's not possible, or then sometimes we have very different errors. For example, once I was checking the occupation, and this young man was listed as a senator, and I told myself, a senator 20, and his father was a farmer, and it was written because it was a fisherman, which is really similar in Italian, senatore, pescatore, and it was written wrong. And then we check for consistencies in homogeneous information. So when you are exempted, it is following an article of the law, so you have to write it every time in the same vein. When all the doubts are cleared, we check in on the original register, of course, and then the data are transferred in CSV format to the online platform that operates in WordPress. And this is our site. What we are now, as of January 2026, indexing has covered birth cohorts from 1851 to 1898, making more than 182,000 records available online through a platform linked to our institute website. The project ultimate goal, it's within reach, because it was of completing the indexing of all individuals born in the province of Venice from 1848, which was the first cohort from Veneto called up for military service by the Kingdom of Italy, to the end of the 19th century, because 1899 was the last cohort to participate in World War I. And we expect to achieve it by the end of the year. We have just the 9 register, 7,500 records to check, and some other 9 register to index. So it's there. The importance to the general public. The significance of this source lies not only in its value for genealogical research, of course, also in reconstructing family military histories, but also in the opportunities offered by a comprehensive province-wide database to trace ancestors whose precise place of origin is unknown. Civil registration for birth records in the Veneto region began in 1871. Thus, the availability of a complete list of all males born in a specific town before that year is invaluable. It is of interest also for the female part of the population, because of course they were not in the conscription list, but they are listed as mother. And in Italy, the mother doesn't lose the surname when she marries. So, of course, we also have names and surnames of a lot of women. And we can also see if she married twice, and that's it. And the quantity and seriality of the recorded information can satisfy those areas of historical research that make use of demographic, of statistical tools. In particular, there is also an administrative value to these records. The importance of a searchable database is even truer for Italian descendants residing abroad who can acquire Italian and therefore European citizenship due to our current legislation, which is on iuris sanguinis. And Laura Miller was talking about the procedure in the citizenship in Canada, and this is pretty much the same amount of pressure that this law put on the archive site, because of course the documentation, the available documentation that those descendants find are a very general mention regarding the place of birth. So to have a database which covers all the province is invaluable. In order to fulfill the required procedure to request for citizenship, they need a proof of that their ancestors were born in Italy, and this is what they ask to the state archives. The current regulation, in fact, equates the registration on the conscription register to a birth certificate. Especially in the Veneto region, which was a territory with war, a lot of local records are lost. The website. The new website has been online since April the 21st of 2023, and it's periodically increased with added resources. The last one was in January this year. The access varies from around 13,000 visits per month, up to nearly 30,000. It covers birth years from 1851 to 1898, and it has 182,000 records. And the research is possible with minimal information, just 3 characters of the name, or you can also do a search with the birth date or the birthplace. For the archives of Venice, the possibility for the public to be granted direct access led to a decrease in research requests on this series. In 2022, they were 439, and they dropped to 188 the year after when we went online with the site. And we received 38 of them per month before, and just 4 of them after we went online. In 2024, we had just 14 requests. The last year, they were just 24, depending on the increasing places of birth available for individual research. And this year, as we speak now, we just had 6 of them. And this is a little bit how it worked. Those were the requests in 2022, divided by year, and this one is how they are now. So we have a little bit of on the latest register, which has still to be indexed, this one. And we have a little bit after on the latest year, because they have, we have the National Institute for Social Security that for administrative purpose ask for those data, especially for retirement calculation. And this was before, yes, and this is now. Yeah. And we have a distribution which is, you see, we have 2 different series. One is the conscription register, which is the blue one, so a little bit before 1850, and then nothing. And we have another other type of register, which are the rolls, the matriculation rolls, and those are really interesting for the history of the military service of the ancestor. This is the next work, what we are going to do. The military district in Venice had a matriculation service that was responsible for keeping official records of all the services rendered to the military forces by the individual, and all the facts that changes his position during the time of his stay on the rolls. So the matriculation rolls of the military district which have alphabetical rubrics, are paid to the state archives of the relevant province at the end of the 17th year after registration. Venice State Archives preserves the matriculation rolls for the birth cohorts from 1876 to 1899. We have much more than this. This is what we have in our Frari deposit in the center of Venice. Then we have much more because they kept on doing that. They are held in another deposit, so they are not part of the project right now. The researcher may consult them independently in our study hall in Venice, and for the cohorts of 1873 and 1874, for which only a single register of rolls survives, a research tool has been prepared containing all the names recorded, and it is available online. The matriculation rolls offer a complete overview of military service after recruitment, provide a summary of each soldier's military career with the enlistment number, the unit, the service dates, ranks, honors, penalties, and it's organized in volume by birth cohort and enlistment order. and include, of course, only those who actually served. It excludes, so the ones that were rejected, they were exempt. And we have a digitizing project on them, sponsored by ministerial funding in 2024. The register of this series have been entirely digitized. They were acquired in raw format and are still in the post-production phase, so they are not yet available to the public. But they are closely linked to the other series because the names are more or less the same. We have only indexed the birth cohorts from 1873 to 1844, and even for the indexing, we are still in the middle of the phases, so we still have to control the results. This project will allow the community to follow the path of their ancestor during the military service first and the call to the arms for the First war afterwards. This is how they were done. So they have on the left the personal data, with the name of the parents and the place and date of birth, and some of their personal characteristics. So the color of the eye, the color of the hair, and the name with the birth year. And then in the middle, there are a lot of information which are pretty similar on all the roles. So they used stamps. And of course, the next work on this series should be by using the AI, because we are as part of the Ministry of Culture. We have some credits to use Transcribus. So we have a main project that is using nearly all of them, but some of those credits could be used to teach to the machine the type of form and to make it read the information. So it will be much easier to do this than by hand and personally. So this was our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The amount of work is really impressive. Yes.
Yes.
We have time for a really quick one question.
Two questions, but very
Yes.
short. How many volunteers do you have, and how do you share the worksheets with them? Like, do you have a platform, Google Docs, or
No,
how?
the number of the volunteers changed a lot. They were, we had more before COVID because they were really old people coming to help, but those were eliminated, not because they are not here anymore, but we cannot afford them anymore. We are not allowed to have people, but we do have both volunteers that are inside the organization, so that belong to the State Archive, and they use this project to have their day at home and to work from home. And sometimes we have some people coming from, trainees from the university, which have part of this project together with some other things to understand how the archives works.
Thank you. I'm sorry we don't have more time, but we can continue.
Thank you very much.
After the next presentation during the coffee break. But as one of the topics of this panel was public outreach, and the last presentation will be how the archives will be out on the street. So yeah, really interesting setup. Hello.
Hello. I hope you can hear me. So I'm really very, very glad to be here and to present you what I do. Actually, I am, where is my colleague from Hungary? I am that group over 60. And actually, I'm a retired translator. And as such, I have translated many, many old books, many old documents. My cooperation was with the archive of Split and with the museums of Split. Now, I'm not anymore doing that kind of job, but I'm doing projects in cultural tourism, and therefore I'm here today with you. And this is highlighting heritage, empowering knowledge from archives to everyone. I consider myself everyone, because I'm not part of your professional group of archivists, but I'm doing it from then my perspective to another people, to local people, to tourists, to everybody who wants to enter into the subject of heritage. For this project, of course, I had to discover literature. And today, it is easy because we have internet. When I have started to work, there was no internet. I was also typing on a machine. Today, it's really fantastic because you have privilege that everything is in front of your eyes. My main book was Chronicle of, from Kampor on the island of Rab in the monastery. And actually, thanks to the University of Rijeka, it is also digitalized. But thanks to students of Zagreb University, it is also made in a normal language so that we can all read it. And it is really, for me especially now, fantastic. So here it is, a storytelling walk through Rab, the island, the town. St. Francis was never on the island of Rab. Franciscans were on the island of Rab, but they are not anymore there. So it is really a story now that I will tell you. So when St. Francis was born, almost everything what we have in the town of Rab was already there, but not all the 4 bell towers. Actually 3 bell towers were there. And here you see the smallest, the oldest, and that one is exactly from 1181 when St. Francis was born. The walk begins at the church of St. Anthony of Padua. First of all, because there was this depiction. It is now in another place, I will tell you later. But St. Anthony of Padua was also one of the first members of the Franciscan order, of the followers of St. Francis. So here we gather together. We start where I start to talk about his life, what was really very interesting, about his call from the God, go and repair my church. Of course, about also how he made an order of friar minors and that the papal bull is in Sacro Convento. At that same Sacro Convento is also that fresco. And that fresco, for me, is fantastic because we see there St. Francis, but we see also Santa Clara. We see one also in the middle who is a friar minor. And who is the first one? Italian people? That is Dante. Dante, who actually was the first follower of the Third Order. And thanks to Dante, our St. Francis also entered to eternity, not just because of his religion. I put it here, some words of the poems of Dante, of Paradise, when he actually almost got engaged with the Sister of Poverty. So Gregory IX issued a bull from Perugia addressed to Croatian and Norman bishops declaring that St. Francis of Assisi had been canonized and that he should be honored the 4th of October. And that bull today is in Zadar, a little bit southern of Rab. We go then to another place, the cemetery. For people, local people of Rab, this was a special point because normally in this church, they are having farewells from their beloved when it is a cemetery church. But on this occasion, we speak about friar miners because they were living around that church, close to the St. Catherine's church. Where later on it was built a monastery for the Franciscan. There is a year 1255, in that chronicle of Campor, the great chronicle, we found the name of Father Columban, who became a bishop of Trogir. Trogir is close to Split, the town, very beautiful town. And as that Father Columban, native from Rab, was actually having his companions. That means that Franciscans were already in 1255 in Rab, because Franciscans never lived alone. They lived always in a group. So it seems really that they have been there for a really long time. In the church, we have this tomb of Matej Bošnjak or Mastilić. We say Bošnjak because originally he came from Bosnia and Herzegovina, so Bošnjak. And in Chronicles, so many, many records of his life, of what he has done to build the church, to increase the monument. There is his tomb on the floor, and he has also that belt with 3 nods symbolizing vows of a Franciscan order. As we are at the at the cemetery, where we have sounds of birds, where we have also that peaceful area, that was for me also an interesting point to, because I show to people on the photos, to show the photo of Giotto, where we have that beautiful old Italian song of Canticle of Creatures, where we see St. Francis preaches to birds. The birds stand still when he started to talk. St. Marin, who was from Rab, but founder of the Republic of San Marino, is very important for Rab, and it is interesting that also his bones were in that 16th century also in the church where friar miners first came on the island of Rab. Then we walked through a forest, a beautiful area, where I talked them about the Santa Eufemia, the monastery where actually, you see, it is a cultural heritage of Croatia. The monastery where we have, I will read it to you because I have never, I don't like numbers. There are 37 incunabulas. There are 7,500 titles. There are the first printed books from the year 1500. Then there is a Polyptych of Vivarini, and also some interesting statues of Andrea Aleši, and also the Missal of Hrvoje Vukčinić, Hrvatinić, very important for our Croatian history. And this is actually the tabulat, which is still today on the roof of the church, presenting life of St. Francis. I told you, today there are no Franciscans anymore, and the last one was Fra Ivica Strčić, who left that Campor at 2024. So, on the right is our St. Francis, the work of Andrea Aleši, and on the left, a modern sculpture, what is still there. We enter the city now because the town of Rab is surrounded by city walls, and we come here to the interesting place where we hear the story about the Bishop of Gregory II, or Hermolais, nicknamed Koštica, who decided to bring the Franciscans inside of the city walls of Rab. And he brought them here to this monastery, what is really a beautiful place for contemplation today. Interesting is that sometimes in archives we found double or false information. So in one side we find that Koštica brought them into the Benedictine monastery where nuns were living. Later on, we find out that nuns were always living in another monastery, never here. There were probably monks, Benedictine monks. So sometimes even archives has to be double-checked. This is an older photo also of Dagobert Frey. Dagobert Frey, who also visited Rab, entered into history with Nazi connotation, especially of Poland, where he actually was known also of taking away some of beautiful things. So he visited Rab. I don't know if he took something from there, but interesting that he left also some records about his visit there. This is a church today of St. Justina, where we have that painting from the beginning, which is now here because that church is under restoration. But we also have this polyptych, which was in the previous monastery where we've been before. And here we see Hermolais, or Koštica, this bishop, who was the one who actually decided to move the Franciscans inside of city walls. And then we come to the monastery of St. Andrew. Benedictine nuns, of course, has nothing to do with Franciscans, but again, coming to that false information that they came to the monastery where the nuns were. So they were not in that monastery, but always in the monastery of St. Andrew. And there is a year, in 2002, the Venetians destroyed Zadar. The Abbess Viola of Zadar and 6 nuns took refuge in the monastery of St. Andrew, where they remained for 6 years. The monastery was known for its production of wool and silk textile. So 12 and 2, they were already here, and the Franciscans were moved inside of the city walls in 12 and 1807, so really much later. This is the monastery, and this is me showing this photo of Saint Didac, Franciscan saint, which is today is a statue at the aquarium of the church. Our cathedral, very interesting, no Franciscans inside, but in 1320, a new count was elected in the cathedral, and with members of the Order of Friars Minor who attended that elections. So here we are in front of the cathedral, and the final point is the monastery of St. Anthony the Abbot. Very nice, beautiful place where Magdalena Budricic, a member of the Third Order, actually member of, there were Clarisse, Santa Clara, the Third Order of St. Francis of Penance was granted a lease of 2 houses. Many, many details about Magdalena Budricic are in that chronicle of Kampor, where we can really read history of Rab and history of female Franciscans which were there. So the legend says that Manda Budricic was buried in a sarcophagi in Kampor. There is that sarcophagi, but however, St. Francis is presented on the relief of a sarcophagi we don't know was really Magdalena Budricic there or not. And the final here slide, our St. Francis. Actually, we have walked around the town, we have seen it all, we have heard the story. A walk is something about 1 hour and 30 minutes, now something about 15 minutes presentation, which I will actually end with words of what I have written here. So designing cultural tourism projects, it's essential to draw on a wide range of sources, including stories from local people, archival materials, historical records, archaeological evidence, architecture, literature, and art. Through this approach, cultural tourism raises public awareness of places, historical figures, or events. It helps people preserve their heritage. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. So, does anyone have questions? I have one. Yes. Do you have already the next project in mind, or? Yeah.
No, this project already just started, and so this will be now the whole summer implemented on the island. So the next project will probably be somewhere next year, around April, when I normally do the project. So, but let's see what it will be.
Yes. But, yeah, Birgit, what time we have to be back here? In time? Yes, thank you for everyone being so on time. 2 o'clock, so we have catched up. So, yeah, let's go back to the initial program. Thank you very much.